They say storms never ask for permission before they arrive. One moment, the skies seem calm. The next, the clouds darken and the winds start to howl. That's how life works. And history always reminds us. When the warning signs are there, only the prepared stand tall. Today, those clouds are gathering over America's economy. You can feel it. The tension, the uncertainty, creeping into conversations, headlines, and homes across the nation. It's subtle but undeniable, banks tightening their policies, markets shifting like restless tides, the cost of groceries, gas, and living itself climbing like a quiet storm surge, inch by inch. But let me tell you something. It's not the storm itself that defines you. It's how you face it. If you've been watching closely, you know the signs. Inflation, once thought to be temporary, is lingering. The Federal Reserve keeps adjusting interest rates, trying to tame the beast. Meanwhile, ordinary people, they're squeezed, families working double shifts just to keep up, retirees watching their savings shrink, young Americans questioning if the dream of homeownership, security, even stability, is slipping further away. But this isn't the first time we've walked this road. Think back to 2008, the Great Recession. Back then, the headlines screamed panic. Banks collapsed, jobs vanished overnight. People lost homes, hope, everything. But here's the part they don't talk about enough. Those who prepared, who refused to break under pressure, they emerged stronger, they learned, they rebuilt, they became unbreakable. And that's where you stand today, on the edge of uncertainty. But uncertainty doesn't have to mean fear. It can mean awareness, readiness, strength. See, most people wait until the storm is right over their heads before they act. But not you. You're here now, listening, thinking ahead. And that's the first step. Because financial storms, they don't arrive all at once. They creep in. Hidden behind statistics, policy shifts, subtle cracks in the foundation. Take national debt, for example. Quietly, it's reaching levels that economists whisper about behind closed doors. Trillions upon trillions piling up, faster than most can comprehend. On the surface, life seems to move forward. Stores stay open, highways stay busy, but beneath, there's pressure building, a debt burden weighing heavy on future generations. Or look at the job market. Headlines boast low unemployment, but scratch beneath the surface, and you'll find millions juggling part-time gigs, contract work, side hustles, all to make ends meet. It's survival mode disguised as stability. And the markets, they swing like pendulums, high one day, plummeting the next, driven by uncertainty, global tensions, and whispers of recession. But here's the truth the headlines often miss. No storm, no crisis, no downturn lasts forever. But the unprepared, they get swept away. The ready, they adapt, they bend, but they don't break. That's why this moment, right now, is critical. Because it's not about predicting the exact day the storm hits. It's about building your foundation today. So when the winds come, you stand tall. Think of the greatest survivors in history. They didn't wait for disaster to knock on their door. They read the signs. They stayed alert. They prepared, not out of fear, but out of respect for reality. And the reality is, America's financial landscape is shifting, slowly, quietly, but it's shifting. So the question isn't, will a storm come? History suggests eventually it always does. The real question is, when it comes, will you be ready? And ready doesn't mean perfect. It means informed, aware, focused. It means building habits, knowledge, and resilience today, so that when the economy sways, your foundation stays solid. Because storms test everything. Your finances, your mindset, your resolve. But here's the quiet truth buried beneath the panic. Storms also reveal strength, the strength already inside you. The part that doesn't crumble when circumstances shake. The part that refuses to quit. The part that stands unbreakable, no matter how dark the clouds get. And that's where we begin. Understanding the signs, preparing the mind, fortifying your future, because the winds may rise. But you were built to rise higher. History has a way of repeating itself, especially when we ignore its lessons. The truth is, America has weathered countless storms before: economic collapses, market crashes, recessions that rattled the very core of society. But here's the part the headlines don't always tell you. Those storms didn't just break people, they revealed them, exposed weaknesses, tested foundations. But for those who were ready, they also forged something far greater: resilience. Think back to 1929, the Great Depression. An entire generation watched as banks closed, jobs vanished, and hope seemed to slip through their fingers like sand. Bread lines stretched for miles. Families huddled together in uncertainty. But out of that darkness, people learned, they adapted. They created systems, safeguards, habits that would protect them in the years to come. Then came the oil crisis of the 1970s. The world watched fuel prices skyrocket. Economies slowed to a crawl, tensions flared across nations, yet even in that storm, those with knowledge, preparation, and calm minds found ways to navigate the chaos, and of course, the 2008 financial meltdown. Banks that were deemed too big to fail crumbled. Wall Street's glittering facade cracked wide open, exposing greed, mismanagement, and risk. Millions lost homes, savings disappeared, entire lives were uprooted. But within that wreckage, you saw something powerful. Communities came together. People reimagined how they worked, how they saved, how they invested in themselves. They learned that no institution, no system is invincible. But the human spirit, that's another story, and now here we are again. Whispers of recession growing louder, global tensions simmering beneath the surface, supply chains fragile, inflation stubborn, and people, ordinary people, feeling the squeeze with every trip to the grocery store, every rent payment, every gas station visit. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to look at the rising costs, the uncertain markets, the conflicting headlines, and wonder, am I prepared? Can I stand firm if this storm truly arrives? But the first thing you must understand: panic is a trap. Fear clouds judgment. It rushes decisions. It convinces you to react instead of respond. And that's where many fall, not because they lacked strength, but because they lacked clarity. Clarity comes from knowing history, seeing the patterns, understanding that storms by their very nature are temporary. Fierce, yes. Unpredictable, absolutely, but endless. Never. The strongest among us aren't the ones untouched by crises. They're the ones who have learned how to bend, not break, to adjust their sails when the winds shift, to anchor their mindset, their finances, their actions, so they remain grounded, unshaken, and make no mistake. The warning signs are here. America's national debt reaching historic highs. The cost of living stretching families thin. Interest rates climbing, making borrowing tougher for businesses and individuals alike. Markets behaving like roller coasters, fueled by uncertainty and speculation. But with every challenge comes a choice. You can freeze, caught in fear, hoping it all passes, or you can prepare. You can fortify your knowledge, your habits, your resources. You can become the calm in the chaos, because the truth is, financial storms aren't just about numbers on a screen or policies in Washington. They're about people, their lives, their futures, their ability to adapt. Look at those who came through past recessions stronger, the ones who didn't crumble when jobs were lost, who found new ways to earn, to learn, to grow. They didn't wait for someone to rescue them. They became their own rescue, and that's the mindset you need now. Not fear, not blind optimism, but grounded, steady readiness. Because this isn't about predicting dates or declaring doom. It's about acknowledging reality, about recognizing that preparation, both mentally and practically, is the difference between being swept away and standing unbreakable. The clouds may gather, the winds may rise. But remember, storms reveal character, and yours, it's built to endure. The question is, are you ready to sharpen that character, to prepare, to rise stronger than the storm itself? Because history may repeat, but you get to choose how you show up when it does. Let me tell you something they don't always teach in school. The most dangerous storm isn't the one outside your window. It's the one that forms inside your mind. See, the greatest battles aren't fought in boardrooms or government halls. They're fought in quiet moments, when doubt creeps in, when fear whispers, when the future feels uncertain, and your instincts tell you to retreat, to freeze, to abandon your course. And that's how people lose long before the financial storm ever arrives. Think about it. When markets fall, when prices rise, when the news cycles scream panic, millions fold under the pressure. Not because they lack resources, but because they lack the mental resilience to face the unknown. But here's the truth the strongest among us know. Chaos outside means nothing if you have calm within. The mind is like a compass. When the world tilts, when the economy shakes, when certainty disappears, your mindset is what keeps you pointed toward stability, toward growth, toward strength. But a compass is useless if you never learn to trust it. And most people, they've been trained to panic, conditioned to react, programmed by headlines designed to trigger fear, not clarity. You see it every time a crisis hits. The stock market drops, and people sell everything in a frenzy, locking in losses. Prices surge, and folks max out credit cards, chasing temporary comfort. Companies lay off workers, and instead of building new skills, people freeze, stuck in helplessness. But those who thrive, they do something different. They understand that the mind can be trained, that resilience isn't luck, it's practice, that in the face of uncertainty, preparation isn't optional, it's survival, and it starts with recognizing that fear is natural. You're human. It's okay to feel uncertainty, but living in that space, that's a choice. The most unbreakable people aren't fearless. They've simply learned how to master fear, to observe it, to breathe through it, to act despite it, because storms pass, markets recover, economies rebuild, but your mindset, that's your foundation. If you lose that, you've already lost the battle. Think back to every major crisis in history. The people who rose after the fall weren't the ones panicking in the streets. They were the quiet ones, steady in their routine, sharpening their skills, building their knowledge, creating small wins in the shadows while the world screamed defeat. And today, you have that same opportunity. You may not control global markets. You can't rewrite economic policy, but you can command your focus. You can direct your energy. You can build mental habits that strengthen you against uncertainty. It starts simple. You filter the noise, limit the fear-driven media, the endless scroll of panic posts. You ground yourself in facts, in learning, in practical steps. You develop routines, daily anchors that keep you steady when the world feels shaky. Exercise, learning, planning, small, consistent actions that stack into strength. You surround yourself with voices of calm, of clarity, of preparation, not echo chambers of despair, and you remind yourself daily. Storms are temporary, but the prepared are timeless. Most importantly, you understand that your worth, your future, your stability doesn't come from external circumstances alone. It's built from within. So when they say a financial storm is coming, you don't freeze, you don't collapse, you breathe, you think, you prepare, because preparation is the greatest antidote to fear and the most powerful preparation. It starts right here, in your mind. You cultivate patience when others rush. You build knowledge when others surrender to confusion. You develop adaptability when others cling to false certainty. And when the winds rise, when the economy sways, when the news screams chaos, you stand grounded, clear, focused. That's the real definition of unbreakable, because wealth comes and goes, markets rise and fall, but mental resilience, that's recession proof. The financial storm may come, the clouds may darken, but your mind, your choices, your strength, that's your shelter. And in that shelter, you'll find peace, clarity, and the quiet power to endure, no matter what the world throws your way. The strongest shelter isn't built overnight. It's crafted brick by brick, choice by choice, long before the storm arrives. And in times like these, when uncertainty hangs heavy in the air, the smartest thing you can do is start laying those bricks now. You don't need to be wealthy. You don't need to be an expert economist. What you need is a plan, a foundation of simple, practical steps that fortify your life, your finances, and your future against whatever economic winds may blow. Because history has shown us, those who prepare survive. Those who ignore the signs often find themselves scrambling when it's too late. So let me share with you the blueprint. The 5 core steps to make yourself mentally and financially unbreakable in the face of the coming storm. First, build your emergency reserve. Think of it like a lifeboat. When the waves rise, when income slows, when unexpected costs hit, that reserve buys you time. Experts recommend 3 to 6 months of living expenses tucked away in a safe, accessible account. It's not about hoarding, it's about breathing room. When you have savings, you make decisions from a place of strength, not desperation. Even small amounts matter. $5 here, $20 there, over time they stack. They buy you peace, they buy you options, they buy you control when the unexpected arrives. Second, cut unnecessary debts. Debt is like a hole in your financial ship. And when storms come, those holes sink people fast. Start with the high-interest stuff. Credit cards, personal loans, payday traps. Every dollar freed from debt is a dollar that strengthens your foundation. It's not glamorous work. It's not overnight success. But reducing your liabilities is how you regain control. Because the less you owe, the less vulnerable you are to rising rates, shrinking incomes, or sudden expenses. Third, diversify your income streams. In uncertain times, relying on a single paycheck is like standing on one shaky leg. But those who build multiple income paths, they create balance, stability, options. It doesn't have to be complex. A side hustle. Freelance work, digital skills, passive income streams, investing wisely. The key is not putting all your eggs in one fragile basket. In every crisis, there are those who pivot, who adapt, who create. They don't wait for opportunity, they build it. Fourth, stay informed, not overwhelmed. Knowledge is power, but only if it's the right kind. Most people drown in headlines, panic, misinformation. But the prepared, they filter the noise, they focus on facts, trusted sources, clear, actionable information. It's about understanding how policies, markets, and global events affect you, not getting lost in fear-driven narratives. Limit the doom scrolling. Engage with resources that empower, not paralyze. Stay sharp, stay aware, but don't let fear run the show. Finally, invest in yourself. The most recession-proof asset on this planet is your skills, your knowledge, your mindset. When economies shift, when jobs change, when industries evolve, those who keep learning, who adapt, who stay valuable, thrive. Read, take courses, build expertise. Sharpen your mental resilience. because markets can fall, but skills, they compound, they open doors when others close. These steps aren't flashy, they don't promise overnight wealth, but they build strength. Real, steady, undeniable strength. And when the storm arrives, as history suggests it will, you won't be the one caught scrambling, panicking, breaking under pressure. You'll be prepared, grounded, unbreakable, because preparation isn't about fear, it's about freedom. The freedom to weather the winds, the freedom to make clear decisions, the freedom to protect your future, your family, your peace of mind. Every crisis, every downturn, every storm in history has separated those who react from those who prepare, and today you still have time to build, time to fortify, time to ensure that when the clouds gather, your foundation holds strong. So start small, stay consistent, brick by brick, step by step, until your life, your mindset, your finances are ready, not just to survive, but to rise, unshaken, no matter what comes next, because storms will always come, but the prepared, they rise above them. There's something remarkable about the human spirit. It has a way of turning hardship into fuel, of transforming crisis into the beginning of something greater. Every storm carries within it the potential for renewal. You've seen it time and time again. After the Great Depression, America rebuilt not just its economy, but its infrastructure, its industries, its determination. The scars left behind became reminders of how far a nation can fall, and how fiercely it can rise. In 2008, when the housing bubble burst and the markets collapsed, families faced unimaginable loss. But from that wreckage emerged a new generation of entrepreneurs, innovators, and resilient leaders, people who learned hard lessons, who refused to stay broken, who rebuilt smarter, stronger, wiser. Because here's the truth, storms test everything. They test economies, they test systems, but more importantly, they test people. The question isn't whether life will challenge you, it's whether you're willing to face those challenges with strength or surrender to fear. And right now, standing where we are, the early signs are clear. America faces real headwinds, rising costs, market instability, growing debt. But alongside those challenges, there's also opportunity. Opportunity to sharpen your mindset, to strengthen your finances, to build new skills, create new income streams, form new habits that will carry you not just through the storm, but beyond it. See, history belongs to the builders, the quiet, steady individuals who refuse to let uncertainty define their future. They don't panic. They prepare, they adapt, they rise, and so can you. But it starts with shifting your perspective. Most people see a financial storm as purely negative, loss, risk, fear, but the prepared, they see it differently. They see moments of volatility as moments to plant seeds, to invest wisely when others retreat, to learn new skills while others wait, to build networks, create value, stay ready. So when the clouds part, they're ahead of the game. Think of the greatest investors, the most resilient leaders, the everyday people who came through the darkest economic times not just surviving, but thriving. Their advantage wasn't luck, it wasn't timing, it was preparation and perspective. They understood that chaos breeds clarity for those willing to look deeper. They knew that crisis reveals character for those ready to stand tall. They realized that while the storm shakes the weak foundations, it also exposes the strength in those who prepared quietly, patiently, persistently. And that's what you're building now. It may not feel like much at first. A few dollars saved, a debt paid off, a new skill practiced late at night. But those small steps, they stack, they compound, they form the backbone of your resilience. Because financial storms don't announce themselves with flashing lights. They creep in slowly, through policy shifts, market swings, rising costs. But when they arrive, they separate the prepared from the panicked. And you won't be among the panicked, because every step you take to prepare, mentally, financially, emotionally, builds your shelter. Every lesson learned, every habit formed, every dollar wisely managed, it's a brick in your foundation. And when the winds rise, when the news cycles scream uncertainty, when the world wavers, you'll stand steady. Calm, unbreakable, you'll be the one others look to, the example of strength, of readiness, of clarity in chaos. Because storms pass, markets recover, history moves forward, but those who use this moment to prepare, they don't just survive the storm, they emerge from it transformed, more resilient, more resourceful, more determined than ever. So remember this, uncertainty isn't your enemy, fear doesn't have to rule you. And no matter how dark the skies become, within you is the strength to weather the storm and rise beyond it. The choice is yours. There's a quiet truth most people miss in times like these. The greatest victories are often built in the shadows, when the world isn't watching, when the markets are trembling, when the future feels uncertain. You won't find those victories splashed across headlines. You won't hear them shouted from the rooftops, but look close enough and you'll see them in the small, steady actions of those who refuse to fold when pressure rises. Because the strongest among us, they don't wait for the perfect moment. They create their own, and that's exactly what you must do now. When you hear the news, the rising debt, the inflation, the layoffs, you can feel overwhelmed. It's easy to believe the storm is beyond your control. But the reality, control starts with you. It starts with how you manage your time, your energy, your focus. The most resilient people in history weren't born with advantages. They built them. They understood that success, stability, peace of mind, it's never handed out freely. It's earned through preparation, through grit, through a refusal to be shaken when life gets turbulent. Look at the entrepreneurs who launched businesses during the darkest economic times. The parents who found new ways to support their families when jobs disappeared. The individuals who turned crisis into growth, who sharpened their skills, doubled down on their learning, who refused to sit idle. They weren't reckless, they weren't lucky, they were ready, and that's the quiet opportunity within every storm. The space to rise when others shrink. Right now, as the financial clouds gather, you have a choice to make. You can drown in the uncertainty, or you can anchor yourself to action. It doesn't have to be dramatic. No sweeping changes overnight, just small, consistent steps. Adjust your spending, build that emergency fund, pay down what you owe, educate yourself about markets, about history, about how people, just like you, have weathered storms before and come out stronger. Because that's the thing they did, time after time. After the dot-com bubble burst, new industries emerged. After the 2008 recession, millions reimagined their careers, their lifestyles, their approach to security. And now the next chapter is being written, but make no mistake, it won't be written by fear. It'll be written by those who understand that uncertainty is inevitable, but being unprepared, that's a choice. And that's the beauty of where you stand today. You're not powerless. You're not a victim of headlines. You're not trapped by circumstances. You are capable of building, of preparing, of becoming unshakable in the face of what's to come. It starts here in moments of reflection. It continues in daily habits, in the discipline to stay focused when the noise grows loud, in the courage to believe that no matter how fierce the storm, your foundation can hold. Because storms, they don't last forever, but the lessons they teach, the strength they uncover, that stays with you long after the winds have settled. You see, life doesn't hand out guarantees. The markets rise, they fall. Economies expand, they contract, but your preparation, your mindset, that's your constant. And when the world feels unstable, when the financial system wobbles, when uncertainty casts its shadow, you have a choice. You can let fear dictate your future, or you can rise above it, brick by brick, step by step, day by day, until the storm passes, until the skies clear, until you realize you didn't just survive. You became stronger, wiser, more resilient than you've ever been. That's what this moment offers you, the quiet opportunity to become unbreakable from the inside out, because in every storm there are those who fall and those who rise. Which one you become, that choice is entirely yours. There's a reason they say tough times create strong people. It's not just a saying. It's a blueprint written across history, etched into every moment when ordinary individuals faced the impossible and chose to rise. Right now, the storm clouds are undeniable. You feel it when you open your wallet. You hear it when families whisper about rising bills. You see it on the faces of those wondering how long they can hold on. But understand this, the storm doesn't get to decide your fate. You do. Because while financial uncertainty tests economies, it also forges character. It shows you what you're made of. It separates those who crumble under pressure from those who refuse to break. And becoming unbreakable, it's not about arrogance. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about being real with yourself, with your circumstances, with the work ahead. It's about saying, yes, the challenges are real, but so is my resilience. The most powerful people you'll ever meet aren't the loudest in the room. They're the steady ones, the ones who stay grounded when markets collapse, the ones who stay focused when the world feels chaotic, the ones who quietly prepare when everyone else is distracted by fear. You have that same potential within you, and preparation. It's not just about money, it's about mindset, it's about self-awareness. It's about building systems that keep you steady, even when everything around you feels unstable. Start with your circle. Surround yourself with voices that sharpen your focus, not cloud it. Be mindful of the information you consume, the fear-driven headlines, the endless speculation, the opinions that do nothing but fuel anxiety. You can't control the economy, but you can control your input. You can control your habits. You can control how you respond when the winds pick up. And the truth is, storms are never fair, but they are revealing. They reveal gaps in your finances, weaknesses in your routines, cracks in your confidence. But that revelation, it's not a curse, it's a gift, because once you see the gaps, you can fill them. Once you see the cracks, you can reinforce them. Once you recognize the weaknesses, you can transform them into strength. Think about the strongest structures on Earth. Their resilience isn't an accident. It's by design. They're built to bend, to absorb impact, to stand firm, not because they avoid stress, but because they prepare for it. And you, your life, your future, must be built the same way. No one's coming to save you when the financial storm hits but you. You can save yourself through preparation, through discipline, through refusing to be ruled by panic. You're not powerless in this. You're not at the mercy of fate. You have choices. Every small step you take to build your savings, reduce your debts, expand your knowledge, and strengthen your mind. It is a declaration that you will not be broken by what's to come. And when others crumble overwhelmed by fear, distracted by the noise, you'll be the quiet strength they admire, the one who kept building while others froze, the one who stayed grounded when the winds howled, the one who proved that storms don't break the prepared, they reveal them. So don't wait for the skies to clear. Don't hope for perfect conditions. Don't delay your preparation because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Start now. Start small if you have to, but start because the storm is coming, whether tomorrow, next month, or next year. You can't predict the timing, but you can command your response. And when the clouds roll in, when the markets sway, when fear whispers that you should give up, you'll stand tall, steady, ready, because unbreakable isn't a label, it's a lifestyle. And the most powerful storms in history, they never stood a chance against those who prepared for them. Every storm in history eventually breaks, the clouds part, the winds settle, the chaos fades into memory. But the question that always remains, the one that defines legacies, is simple. Who did you become while the storm raged? See, some people spend their lives waiting for calmer skies. They sit frozen, hoping the waves pass, hoping the winds die down, hoping circumstances shift in their favor. But the strongest, they don't wait for life to get easier. They get stronger. They understand the quiet truth woven into every challenge. Growth isn't born in comfort. It's forged in adversity. It's shaped by uncertainty. It's revealed when the easy path disappears. And right now, America stands on the edge of another test. The economy feels unsteady. Markets fluctuate. Prices rise, debt mounts, and millions feel the storm inching closer. But here's the part most forget. Storms never come to destroy everything. They come to reveal what's built to last. Your mindset, your habits, your preparation, that's your shelter. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about rising within it. It's about staring down uncertainty and saying, I'm ready. You're ready to control what you can, the small, steady actions that stack into resilience. You're ready to prepare, not from fear, but from clarity. From the quiet understanding that no matter how fierce the storm, your foundation can hold. Because the most powerful preparation isn't flashy, it isn't loud, it's built in the small hours, in the sacrifices no one sees, in the quiet discipline that separates the panicked from the prepared. And when the storm comes, and it will, you'll stand differently, not immune to the winds, but grounded, rooted, ready. Because life has never been about avoiding hard times. It's about who you become in the middle of them. Think of the generations that came before, the ones who survived the Great Depression, rebuilt after war, weathered recessions, endured crisis after crisis. They didn't have easy roads, they had resilience. They learned the value of preparation, the strength of community, the importance of mindset, and they left behind a blueprint for those willing to listen. Now, it's your turn to build that same strength, to prepare with purpose, to face uncertainty not as a victim, but as a warrior. Because this storm, it may shake the world, but you're not built to break. You're built to adapt, to endure, to rise. The question isn't whether challenges are coming. History has already answered that. The real question, the only one that matters, is simple. When the clouds gather, when the winds rise, when life tests you, will you be ready? Because the strongest people, the ones who walk through the storm and come out standing, they don't get there by accident. They get there by preparing before the first raindrop falls, by strengthening their minds, by building their finances, by protecting their peace, by sharpening their character when no one's watching. And today, that's your opportunity, not to fear the storm, but to face it, to prepare for it, to become the unbreakable version of yourself the future demands. Because storms come and go, but strength, that lasts. And you were always built for this. The only thing left is to prove it.